Hello, everyone, and welcome to Meticulous Talks on September 11th, 2021. I am, as always, Cursor Chords.
And I'm Hithroc.
Good to be with you again, Hithroc.
Yeah,
It's
it's been 2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's a normal time off for us, but for whatever reason, it felt like longer this time. I don't know why.
Yeah, maybe because we did two streams back to back, so it felt like we did 2 weeks with 1 week apart, and now it's 2 weeks twice as long.
Could be. But anyway, yeah. Continentals is over. So about a month ago now, or a little less than a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we did the review last stream, so it's back to what we had been doing.
Yeah, that is fond memories spoilers.
Indeed,
For one person.
for one person, yes. Well, who knows? There might be people in the chat who also have refrained from participating in the beta. I know there probably aren't anybody, but maybe.
Yeah. In today's selection, we have a bunch of rares and one ultra rare,
I
but
did
we do have a little bit of commons and commons too.
I did see the rarities, yes. And I am interested. I put in the announcement that I suspect you've been saving some spicy stuff for me. I don't think I've seen a lot of cool cards. I don't think I've seen anything like on the level of uh Samilo or that Silver Stream
Okay.
that put dilemmas into play or
I actually wanted to include one particular card in this list, but it's getting changed,
oh.
and it's not changed in Wave 5 yet. So I decided to not include it, to not to not have a picture with one text and we're discussing the other text. I'd rather wait for it to actually change.
Okay,
But
okay.
it's a very interesting card, and I'm kind of sad to see that the original text is gone, but it's fine.
Okay. Well, when we do get the chance to talk about it, I'm sure we'll be able to at least spare a moment for
Yeah.
what its original incarnation was. Otherwise, it's a regular slate of a dozen cards, so let's get to it. Alrighty. Starting with blue. You always put them in color order, right?
Yeah, because I make a pony head list and then I just do in order
Mm-hmm.
from there.
So, in the dust, 2 power, 2 cost, 3 rec, main phase. Banish 2 cards from your discard pile to move this card. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Pretty simple.
Seems pretty good too.
Yeah. Main phase. Banish 2 cards from discard pile to save 2 AT. As many times as you want. Blue.
What is this, Legacy Leech?
I mean, kind of. Let's see. Blue. Not the most discard pile heavy deck, usually. Usually your deck's more friends than events.
Mm-hmm.
But over the course of the game, you're going to get cards getting there, whether retired to home limit or stuff that got played or moved by the opponent or whatever.
And blue has a bunch of stuff that draw a card, discard a card.
Yes, also
And I
very
think there
true.
was the new keyword, right, that did that?
Training, yeah.
Yeah. So I think this kind of fits nicely into this.
Okay.
Although to me this feels a little bit more like, blue-orange card rather than just blue
I
card.
was about to say, usually it's orange that has the synergy with banishing stuff from your discard pile to get benefits.
Yeah. But I
But
can see why it's just blue too.
yeah, it works.
Probably for a simple card like this, and it's not worth spending a multicolor slot.
It is just a simple common that will provide some value later on in the game.
Yeah. Probably really good in limited too as well.
Yes, certainly. Usually in limited, outside of Time Magic that Zap Apples was printed, or was that
Yeah.
Marks? Yeah. Anyway, outside of those eras, usually you can't really do much with your discard pile unlimited, so
Mm-hmm.
good value certainly.
Okay, next card.
Yeah, I'm eager because I know the next one's the ultra rare.
Yeah, it's ultra rare.
Okay, Orangical. 3 power, 2 cost, 4 rec. Play with the top card of your deck revealed. Okay. You may play friends on the top card of your deck as though they were in your hand. Okay. Exhaust this card and put the top card of your deck into your discard pile. A 180 less to play your next friend this turn at immediate speed. So it effectively increases your hand size by 1, with the caveat that that card is public to everybody.
Yeah. Yes. And works kind of like Apple Bloom Remarkable, but you don't have to discard anything.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing I see here, though, is that your opponent now knows every single draw because you have the top card revealed
Mm-hmm. Draw
all the time.
and face-off flips.
Yeah, everything.
And that is it's one of those symmetrical effects. I think having the top card of your deck revealed is a little more of a drawback than it is a plus most of the time.
Yeah.
But
The effect is pretty good.
right, it is a hand slot that is like the card is as if it was in your hand, and if you play it, you effectively draw the card back right away
Yeah.
because you look at what's the next card on your deck.
Yeah, all of the effects that do something with top of your deck are basically now draws. Even the second effect of this card. The second effect of this card not only makes you pay 1 less AT for your next friend, but also refreshes the top card of the deck,
Mm-hmm.
which could be something that you could play. So I think it's a really interesting card.
Yeah. Also has good
But I,
synergy. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, but I do think that like having the top deck revealed all the time is a big deal.
Yeah. The first card I thought of actually is the Spike from New Dawn, that you discard the top card of your deck, and the opponent does the same. And if they're the same thing, then you keep going, right?
Ah, yeah, I remember that card. Oh, that card is good. It's blue orange, right?
It is just blue. It is just orange.
Oh, it is just orange. Okay.
Yeah. Which you're still guessing what the top card of your opponent's deck is, unless you put it there.
Yeah.
Um, but
No, just give them this card.
I mean, yeah. Is there a good way to donate friends to the
Yeah,
opponent?
switcheroo.
Okay. Well, wait. It isn't. That's Harmony, isn't it?
No, we had like very recently one of
Yes. Yes.
the cutie mark swap, I think it's called, or something like that.
I remember that. Yes. Okay.
Like it's expensive, but you can do it.
Yeah. That's fair. I guess it is worth pointing out you can only play friends from the top of your deck as though they're in your hand.
Yeah.
So events, resources, and troublemakers are just there.
If I need to play troublemakers, like, oh, I'm putting this troublemaker face down. What is it?
Yeah. Well, okay. Relatively straightforward. Pretty, and it is. Talk about all the cool text. It is 3 power, 2 cost too. So
Mm-hmm.
competitive play from hand, regardless. No particular reason I can see why this would have to be unique. So
No, I don't think like the effects stack even. Like the only like having multiple copies of this only would let you like exhaust it multiple times. That's it. There's
yeah,
nothing else really.
but that's a good thing. If
Yeah.
if it's a competitive play just for its cost and power, then not being unique is good.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, cool card.
Yeah.
Moving on. Okay, find a friend. Blue yellow. Always got to be blue yellow Pegasus. Always got to be careful with those. 3, 3, 3, 3. When this card enters play, you may reveal your hand. If you do, and you don't reveal any friends this way, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, put any friends revealed this way into your hand, and put the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck. That is interesting.
I find this ability extremely weird
So,
because it kind of anti-synergizes with itself.
I mean, you'd think so, right? So, blue, yellow, historically, I mean, they're aggro decks with Pegasi. You have a fair number of friends in them. Um, but admittedly, those 2 colors don't have a whole lot for card draw that actually gains you card advantage. Blue is getting that a little bit more lately with the draw discard stuff. And so with this as a way to, if your hand is mostly empty, as a way to potentially draw up to 5 cards from your deck, could be pretty good.
Well, your hand doesn't the problem here is that not only your hand has to be mostly empty, it has to have no friends
Mhm.
specifically. So this should be the last friend in your hand. And that's where I think this card is kind of anti-synergizes with itself, because the second part of the ability kind of wants you to have a lot of friends in your deck too. So,
Yeah.
if you don't have a lot of friends in your deck, it's more likely you'll trigger this card, but also more right. But can't talk today. More likely that you will not get many friends from it either. So it's a really weird effect.
Right. Yeah. It feels like the kind of thing that would be a little bit, well, yeah, difficult to reliably get off. Which maybe you hold it in your hand, and if you keep drawing friends, then good for you. You don't need to play this card. Um, but if you ever do miss, then you have this as a backup plan.
Yeah, I guess. But it's free AT as well.
Hmm. Relatively high Rex, relatively expensive,
It's okay,
and
blue, yellow doesn't need good cards.
and there's always the possibility that it's not that you missed on drawing, not drawing friends. You missed because you drew a 4 rec friend that you can't play,
Yeah.
and now what are you gonna do?
Well, the only 4 rec friends that blue yellow plays nowadays is Bunyip, I think so.
Hmm, fair enough.
But
Maybe,
yeah, there could be a situation where you're stuck with the card, you can't play it,
yeah.
and you can't play this either.
Maybe you're playing a super greedy entry multicolor deck like a certain person on this stream would.
Oh, you know what would be the worst? Is to have 2 of this in your hand.
Oof.
2.
Yeah. Okay. That is admittedly real bad. Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll admit, yeah. Kind of a middling, maybe a little bit interesting to think about how you would use it, but
Mm-hmm.
not a bad card by any stretch of imagination. Okay. Rerun. Ooh. 0 printed power, 4 cost, 4 Rex across the board. Okay.
Yeah, that's when you know the ability is gonna be
It
crazy.
better be, yeah. Alrighty. Card enters play with 2 +1 power counters on it. So, still 2 power, 4 cost. Start of your turn, you may put a +1 power counter on this card. Okay. End of your turn, exhaust this card to put a card with power equal to the number of +1 power counters on this card from your discard pile into your hand. Right. So 2 for sure. So okay. So when you play it, you're going to be able to get a 2 power thing out.
Yeah.
And then every turn, uh, it is equal. Okay, so you do have to choose.
Yes.
And once you go, you can't go back.
No.
So that
Well,
is,
there are some cards that remove power counters, but not in core, I think.
yeah. Um, Well, I mean, I guess you could. Are there any cards yet that allow you to put -1 power counters on your own stuff? Oh
Well,
no, it's the number of +1 power counters. Yeah, okay,
yeah, it doesn't matter how many minus power count. Like it's only +1 that count.
right. So that is interesting. Equal. I mean, I guess this isn't unique. So in theory, well, could have 3 of them in play, 1 at 2, 1 at 3, 1 at 4, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, the card art, or at least this placeholder art, brings to mind certain cards from the past.
Ah.
That makes me think about usages like that. But events these days have a pretty wide variety of powers.
Well, like it's usually only a certain event that you want to play, or like a two of them, like Heatwave.
Generally, yeah.
Like if you can just keep playing Heatwave, that sounds good to me. I
Uh,
don't need anything else.
Fair enough, yeah. What is the power of Heatwave?
It's free, I think.
3. So that's
There was just
relatively.
one. Yeah,
I mean, that is, for what it's worth, a good self-balancer. This card has to stay in play 1 turn for you to be able to get a Heatwave back.
yeah.
Unless you have unless you have a way to put a +1 power counter
Shovel
on it right away, which Orange can do that pretty
orange.
easily.
Yeah,
Now it does cost 4, and that's, yeah, an ability
yeah.
like this, the high cost, the high rec, definitely warranted.
But yeah, that's. I think it's the only infinite recursion of events we have right now
Well,
in core, at least for sure.
infinite recursion of anything actually could be events.
Oh no, we have cadence, but that one is much harder than to
hmm
use.
hmm
But yeah,
Yeah, it's
I
a. Sorry,
go
go ahead.
ahead.
Well, I was gonna say it's a bold play on the part of Sim to print a card like this. And I mean, sure, they're putting every precaution in place, making it real expensive and real hard to play. But this kind of thing was oppressive when it existed in the past.
Yeah, but that kind of thing like was way better than this one.
Hmm,
It was just play one straight up, get an event immediately. Here it's more conditions apply. But yeah, you can get things that are pretty good, and Heatwave being the prime example in Orange.
right.
But Orange has some other stuff. Like I think Orange has some other free power good events. I just don't like. I don't remember power of events right from the top of my head.
Yeah, who cares about the power of events, right?
Yeah,
Well, everyone after this card gets printed, I guess. But like,
yeah.
well, for what it's worth, some of them have power too, but
Oh, it's such a small amount. Like I think it's one card that has power too.
right.
Uh, like it was printed a couple of sets ago. I don't remember what it does even.
And it's worth noting that I think, well, I don't know if this has been officially sort of, and anyone's actually said this, but generally, events have low flip power to compensate for them being really good.
Yeah,
Uh,
at
which,
least recently.
yeah, which is, synergistic with this card.
Yeah, but yeah. I think like putting one power counter on it immediately and getting Heatwave back might not be worth for AT, but if they can't get rid of it, and you can like keep doing Heatwaves, that's really good.
hmm
It
And
only has to play and play.
you don't have to play it. You can get it out of your discard pile. It enters play with the 2+1 power counters on it.
Oh yeah, and it is in white.
Yeah. Seems like a good play from discard or get out of the discard pile somehow target.
GP says that there are two events with power 2.
Yeah, I'm blanking
Like,
on.
I remembered only one, and I can't even remember it.
There's your homework for the day. Everyone in chat, find
It's
the.
Cockatrice Migration is the one I was thinking of,
Okay,
but the second one is Formation Flying,
sure. Okay.
and also a bunch of Harmony ones, Premier Block ones even.
Mhm. Also worth pointing out, I guess, good limitation that this is only at the end of your turn you get to take the card back,
Yeah, yeah,
not whenever you want. So
yeah. So it's a must once per turn thing.
yeah.
I wonder why do you have to why do you have to exhaust it if it's only at the end of your turn too?
Well, I
Like,
mean,
yeah, it will not give power during face-offs on opposing turn, but so what?
I mean
Is that
that's
a big deal?
that's honestly a plus probably. If this is a probably
Yeah,
a control deck, exhausting your stuff is good usually in those at the end of your turn.
yeah, that's fair. All right, next card.
Sure. Next card. Alrighty. Pink event. New team spirit. Now I have to events. I actually have to watch the top right card,
Oh,
the
it's
number.
free power.
Okay, 3 power. Fair enough. 2 cost, 3 rack. Main phase. Gain control of an opposing friend until the end of the score phase. If that friend is exhausted, you may ready it. Okay. So good to take stuff that's exhausted. Presumably those friends have. Well, okay. This is main phase. Yes. So if they have any activate ability, you can use it.
Hmm.
Um,
This reminds me of every Magic card, red card that takes control because they
right.
almost always untap.
Well, there's a very good reason for that in Magic.
Yeah.
Um, I think if there's any really, really interesting ones, really interesting cards, exhaust for reasons other than simple stuff like gaining AT. End of the score phase.
No, I mean, there are big effects like Luna Midnight,
Hmm.
but other than that, I don't think there's all too much. But yeah, the way I see this card is, it's so okay. So we have what's the name? Pinky's Present,
Yep.
which has 3 modes, and one of the modes is basically this ability, except without the ready part. And it also costs 2. It has 5 power. Also has 3 rec.
Okay.
So the only difference between that and this is that this raid is a thing, and that also has other modes, which people barely use from what I remember.
The draw cards mode is
Yeah, I guess that
on
one is
occasion.
fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, and that card was the replacement for Berry Punch, right? Because Berry Punch got banned for being so good. And that card was kind of the reply, but it wasn't good enough. People weren't running it in the end. But this card might be might be good enough because you ready the thing you're stealing. You will usually steal things like Starlights to belly flop them into something else. And doing that with this card makes this card cost 1,
Right. And then it is
making
just
it
a very punch noise throw. Yeah.
yeah. And if you're not oh, but maybe not every opponent runs AT gens, right? But that's why we have sideboard.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So as a sort of way to give a little bit back to the belly flop deck. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, you can also steal bodyguards and retire them to themselves. That's fun too.
Indeed. Yeah. Man, bodyguard. You haven't seen a whole lot of that card in a long time.
Yeah, pink white is not popular these days.
Not like it went anywhere. Still super good card.
Yeah, maybe we'll see it soon. I'm not like hinting
Yeah, right. Yeah,
towards
no, no.
anything.
I know. First thing I think about when you say that. Hithroc knows something I don't about that.
Nah,
Okay. Yeah, all right. So
unless I
simple,
am.
simple little event.
Yeah, the next one is also a simple little event, but it's a rare.
It is rare. Okay, 5 power. So hard to get back is what you're saying. Um, immediate speeds. Neutral event. 1 cost. During a face-off involving your main character, flip an additional card. Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's a barrel through, right? Was the event?
Yes, it is a somewhat more restrictive barrel through.
Yeah.
Well, somewhat more restrictive and also less restrictive because it's neutral.
You know what I see in this card?
I see a card that unambiguously helps farm.
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking of specific farm, the Purple Twilight farm. This
Oh,
card was like made for that.
yes, that's true.
Because that deck ran like a bunch of events that said like, oh, if Twilight Sparkle or Rainbow Dash were involved in the face-off, flip like an additional card and so on. This is basically that, but with less restrictions.
Yeah, yeah. Like I did spend a lot of time, as you know, before Continentals practicing with Pancake. And I think he has been of the opinion that farm could use a little bit more oomph in core right now. So yeah, good thing to give it a little bit of something to work with. 5 flip, nice cheap event. Flip an additional card.
Mm-hmm.
Seems good.
Yep.
At immediate speed for that matter. Let's see. Any does have applications outside of farm just for general purpose face offs and volley main characters. There are a few. You wouldn't want to play this with staff per se because you're gonna
Yeah.
win that face off anyway. Um, what
I don't
else?
think there's any reason to run this card outside the farm because, like, if you care about winning face-offs, you probably build your deck in such a way that you don't really need this card to win them.
Mhm.
And as a trick, there are better tricks like that exist because this trick here just wins you the face-off, but other tricks like might bounce friends and other things while
Yeah,
also winning you the face-off
yeah,
in the process of doing that. So
yeah. But it's good to have a card, a few, 1 or 2 per set, perhaps, that are sort of directly made for a specific archetype.
mm-hmm. I'm only sad that it's a rare. I would like to have this limited.
Ooh, and limited, this would be real good, yeah. But it can still be real good.
Yeah.
Open one of them. You're lucky in your limited packs. By the way, for what it's worth, also nice starting to see some placeholder. I assume this isn't placeholder art. This is like a sort of
Yeah, that's like closer to the final. Like that's
yeah,
the not like the final version, obviously, but it's the
yeah.
picture that's gonna be.
The borders are going to be extended, and R is going to do some fancy work on it.
Yeah,
But this is more or less what the final card art's going to look like.
yeah. Unless like some other better idea for this card or any other card with such flavor
Yeah,
comes up.
great. The set's coming soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Weakest link. From pink, 5 power, 2 cost, 3 wreck. Play to your home. Eek, interesting. At the end of each player's turn, if this card is ready, that player retires a friend with the least power among friends they control. If this card is ready, and at immediate speed, you can exhaust this card whenever you want.
Yeah.
All right.
But the problem here is if you don't want to retire anything, you exhaust this card and it stays exhausted
Right.
on the opponent's
If
turn.
if you don't retire something, then your opponent doesn't have to retire something. Interesting. So I mean, this can be okay in pink because pink generates Earth Pony tokens that are 1 power and otherwise don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no token restriction. So yes, you can just if you have a supply of tokens to retire, good for you. The opponent may not be so lucky.
Yeah. The great thing about retire is that retire is not usually stopped by preventing to cards usually mention, oh, if this card is dismissed or banished and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But retire is not dismiss, which is really good.
Generally, yeah.
Like Brian wouldn't save you in this case.
How do frightened friends work with this? But it's not printed power; it's power.
I think they don't count in this calculation because their power doesn't exist. They don't have power.
Right. Okay.
It's the same question as with Tyrek. Like you remember that troublemaker Tyrek?
Oh yeah, I see.
That retired the lowest friend, and they had to change the ruling during the tournament.
Okay. So yeah, it's got to be a friend that. Okay, that's even better then. If you can't even choose friends that are frightened.
Well, you can't.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, okay. Awful against decks that don't have friends. Farm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not awful. Like, if
Well,
you just
yeah.
keep exhausting it's fine.
You just keep exhausting it. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's 2 AT. You spent on nothing basically. But
This
potential.
this can be. Oh, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes. Say. Pretty good against Reanimator, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have Orchard Blossoms to retire for a little while, but usually that's a deck that doesn't have a whole lot of friends out.
What I'm thinking here is that this is a really oppressive card to play like turn 2.
Oh, yes.
Because while you don't have any friends, the opponent can't really play anything either, because they would
Well,
have to retire it unless they play like 2 friends or so.
okay, hold a second. How are you playing this turn 2 if you don't have any friends? Like a
Grogar
join
and
the
the
herd?
Rushed Makeover.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that works. Sugar on Rush Makeover. Sure.
You can also, flip Skystar, play it turn 2.
I
There are
mean,
ways to get
I
a
mean,
lot of pink.
yes, but then you have 2 seashell tokens to retire.
Oh, okay, we can retire Seashells, whatever.
I mean, fair enough.
Oh yeah, with the Rushed Makeover, you can actually do it turn 1.
Turn 1.
So yeah,
Ouch.
even better.
That is a strong play to start. Yeah.
So yeah, this can be like a really oppressive play, especially if you build a deck in such a way that you can like. The problem is that you're like both of you are kind of in a standoff, right? Whoever plays the friend will
Right.
have to get rid of it at the end. But if you build the deck in such a way that like you generate tokens early on and so on, it's gonna be fine for you, but not so fine for the opponent.
Or I mean, in that Grogar scenario, Rush Makeover to this, and then next turn double Troublemaker, and then next turn, some other resource or.
Yeah, okay, I'm
Yeah.
calling the police.
Even. No, a second here. No, I guess not.
Even what?
I was gonna suggest something with Chrysalis maybe because that sounds kind of interesting, but the colors don't really work. Anyway,
But yeah,
strong event, and yeah, I guess consequently, the upshot of all we said, most effective the earlier in the game it's played, generally speaking.
yeah. Yeah, this event is so strong it stays in play when you play it.
Yeah. Okay.
Next card.
And only at uncommon too.
Yeah. In draft, it's like,
Ugh, indeed.
I don't want to see this in draft.
Okay. Power overwhelming. Purple, yellow. 6 cost. 6 flip power means it is very hard to get back out of your discard pile. That's just going to be the theme of the stream now. 2 cost. Free rack for everything. Goes on your main character. Start of your turn, gain 2. The end of your turn, Lose all your action tokens. Okay. We haven't had a card like this in MLP before, have we?
No.
Well, I mean,
Well,
to
it's kind of like Legacy Leech.
yeah, like to an extent, you could argue that on even ground kind of forced you to play all out, use your action tokens before you lose them. But I mean, yeah, this is definitely that, giving you extra
Yeah.
resources on the condition that you have to use them. And with like lose all your action tokens at the end of your turn, that's also saying to your opponent, okay, I am not going to do anything on your turn.
Yeah. There are very few things you can do for 0 AT. You could have like, so it's purple yellow card, which means that you could have AT gens like Starlights and Sunbursts,
Stuff
which
that's
give you
immediate
AT
speed.
at immediate speed.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
So you can still do tricks on the opponent's turn if you try hard enough.
And those cards are in this color, and so yeah, not even that hard to do, really.
But I don't like this card. I like banking my AT. I'm hoarder. I'm gonna have as much AT as I can get.
Incriminating evidence only applied to the opponent, right? Like whenever an opponent, it was like whenever an opponent loses an AT, you gain an AT, right? Yeah. Okay.
I don't know how I feel about this card. Like I like the banking thing in this game. I like it very much. I really like that passing and doing nothing is often the correct play. But this card doesn't make that true at all.
Because of that, I think it's good to have a card that can potentially foster a. I mean, we were talking about Magic earlier. This kind of feels a little bit like a mono red style. Like, yeah, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play a deck that is gonna go fast and it's gonna do stuff on my turn, and I eschew the idea of being doing all that fancy stuff on the opponent's turn. Like purple and yellow are a little bit of weird colors for it, I guess.
No, I think the colors are right for this card. The purple part is giving you AT, the yellow part is
taking away
getting
your
rid
AT.
of that AT. But I guess we also have the blue card, right? That does the same.
Mm-hmm.
So losing all of the action tokens is kind of in a weird territory where it's not clear in which color it belongs to. But I think yellow is more fitting than blue.
Probably, yeah. It's an interesting card. It's the kind of card that engenders discussions about how to work around it among people like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
But it is also, I think, legitimate just for a card that plays it straight and is going to use those action tokens.
Do we have a thing? Do we have a card that makes resources lose abilities?
Well, trashed.
Yeah, well, that one is permanent.
what does Spearhead do? I think he's like, put the art counter on resources, and while he's in play, they don't have abilities.
Yes. So okay. So that's what it. Oh, it does put them only on the opposing resources, which is annoying. But if it was your resources, you put art counters on this card.
Okay,
and then frighten Spearhead to like only get the good part of the.
Here's what you gotta do. You gotta wait. Hang on a second. Mistbane's flower, like you. Oh shoot! No, that doesn't work.
You donate this resource with bone rarity first.
Okay, yeah.
Then you put an art counter
on it. Then you take it back.
Oh, this is amazing. Definitely doing that.
absolutely viable strategy.
You know, actually donating this card with the rarity might not be that bad of an idea because for many decks this will be a terrible effect to have.
Oh, no, sorry, yeah. Grandpa's points out, yeah. It's an invalid host on the opponent's main character. Oh, but you can still no, no, yeah. If you give them control over it, it'll still fall off in pre-priority processing.
So what I'm hearing is that we need a card that donates our main character as well. Oh no, then this card would also fall off because it become their main character.
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh well.
Although, what what is the timing on Bone Rarity? Is she's immediate speed or end of turn or
It's a main phase, I think, but it doesn't matter because this resource will fall off
right?
like in the pre-priority processing, like pretty much immediately before anything could happen.
Well, yeah, but that turns off the thing that makes you lose all your action tokens at the end of your turn.
Yeah, but like dismissing this resource also does that.
I guess.
Like eating it with Big Mac. It's just a more elaborate way of dismissing it. I was thinking of like more doing something to like keep it turned on and turned off when I want to.
Right. I would say, given the way this card is engineered, that Sam has probably put a lot of thought into making sure that there's no efficient way to harvest the action tokens off of this.
If it wasn't unique, that'll be amazing.
Hmm.
Sure, I will lose my action tokens 4 times, 3 times, that's fine.
But yeah, cool card.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Snack stand.
Oh, yeah.
Two
It's a
cost.
good card.
I mean, yeah, that goes without saying. 2 cost, 2 power. Play to your home. As this card enters play, choose a color. Main phase, exhaust this card. Pay 1 IT less. Play your next friend with the chosen color this turn. So this is a repeatable rushed makeover, but only in that color.
Mm-hmm.
And that color can't, yeah, it's stuck in that color for the whole game.
Yeah.
Let's see, at 2 cost, that's more expensive than the usual fixing resource, but you get to generate Phantom AT with it.
Well, it's not a color fixing resource because it doesn't give you colors.
Right, that's correct.
You just choose a color, it doesn't give you anything. The way I see this card is remember that resource, Castle of Friendship, which was also a free cost resource.
Mhm.
Exhaust this card to gain 180. I see this card as like in the same area as that, except it's 180 cheaper, but also has more restrictions put in it.
Right. Essentially, yeah.
And I think color restriction is not as big as the restriction that you have to play something, and that something also has to be a friend.
Mhm.
Like colors, I mean, you don't like decks don't usually play that many colors. You can usually choose like one of the colors that you pretty consistently probably have cards to play with, but the fact that it has to be a friend and you have to play it, it's not just gain 180 or something. That's a
Right.
pretty big restriction.
So most decks, well, yeah, most decks are 2 colors. Decks that have lots of friends in them are going to be usually mid-range aggro kind of decks. It's main phase only, so you can't use this to help out hasty friends,
Mm-hmm.
but unless you're playing them on your turn. Um,
Was Cloud Chaser only a friend reduction?
yes.
Oh, well then yeah, it's a color locked Cloud Chaser on a stick,
Mhm.
as GP puts it.
For whatever reason, I'm thinking orange actually as I'm looking at this card. Kind of orange deck that usually has relatively expensive stuff. Would love to have stuff discounted. Although discounts are more efficient when used on cheap things, not on expensive things.
Yeah, because
Cloud Chaser was blue.
yeah, I know.
Oh, I see.
And Aloe was white.
I mean, historically, she like really was blue. But anyway, wait, no, she wasn't. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. Sorry for whatever reason, I had an image of Cloud Chaser in my head with one blue rack, but that's
No,
definitely
no,
not.
she never had the wreck.
Yeah, fair enough point. Fair enough point.
But yeah, the reason reduction is better on cheaper things is because, like, showing off 180 out of like a 5 cost card is only like 20% reduction,
Mhm.
while showing 180 off 2 cost card is 50% reduction. And this also doesn't have like two minimum of one, so you can play things for free too.
Could be a 100% reduction. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, neutral value generating stuff. It's been done 100 different ways over the course of sets. Always good to see it being done in a different way.
Mm-hmm. I think this is pretty good. Like, Wonderbolt Stadium was amazing, and this one is neutral, doesn't have like two rec behind it, but costs one more, which is like a big difference. But I can see this card being played.
Yeah, seems like a pretty great turn one play in a lot of decks.
I mean, it has Trixie on it as well, so there's that.
Yeah. Well, I guess there's no reason to play it turn one unless you're going to use it right away. So turn
Yeah.
two play most of the time. Anyway,
Next card.
next card. Alrighty. Tranquility. Another
So
2-power event. Was that the one that we were? That's not the one that we were talking about before. What? Sorry, you were going to say something.
yeah, so when I said earlier this card is like Legacy Lich, I was actually looking at this card. I was looking at the wrong slide.
Oh, I see. Okay. 1 cost, 1 power, 2 flip, main phase, gain AT, then gain an additional AT for each card named.
Pay to win is this card. It's this card. It's just the
it's
playtest
this
entry.
card. Okay. I was
Yeah.
gonna say referencing some card named Tranquility in your discard pile. Draw a card. So, first one gains you 1, next one 2, next one 3,
Mm-hmm.
and
And also draws you a card.
all of them draw cards. Obviously, there's no way to have more than 2 copies of this in your discard pile when you play it. Otherwise, you're in trouble. Yeah. So I kind of see what you mean. This is working to the same principle as my purple deck wants to do. Just have some events that you can just play over the course of your day. Even the first one is value pause. Well, no. The first copy is literally just a
0 AT
0
draw
AT
a card.
draw card. Yeah, which
Yeah.
is good. It's just a card that replaces itself at no cost.
Yeah.
Which in a deck that just wants to put events in the discard pile, that's good. And then the next ones are actually getting you places in terms of gaining AT.
So remember that white orange rare that we saw?
Yes.
So you play a white orange purple, and you keep bringing back this card to get free AT every turn.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, I like this card. It's a free draw at worst, which is basically a deck thinner, right? Like 0 AT draw a card is you basically replace a card in your hand with the next card in the deck. So effectively, this card, at its worst, makes your deck by 3 cards like thinner. Like Living to Love would love this if it ran purple, I think.
Well, it Technically, already did.
No, like it doesn't play that. It doesn't play Mysterious Disappearance.
Oh no, but it played Legacy Leech.
Oh, that's true. Wow. Forgot about the card I referred to 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you already have a cards in that deck that are built to give you purple wreck. So
Yeah.
yeah, it can play this easy.
Yeah, and and it's just at its worst. At its best, it also gives you 280 on top of that. Just pretty good.
Yep. It's a nice downgrade for Legacy Leech, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you like it? Would you like it in your deck with
Oh yeah.
Celestine?
Well, you know, there's less way to get stuff into the discard pile now. This event is much better with what was that resource in the zone that wanted you to play an event every turn. Because this is just a free event that I can play whenever
Mm-hmm.
it's in my hand. And better with some of the old unicorns that wanted a bunch of events in the discard pile. And better, much better with any talented purple card.
Yeah.
Which is basically what Trixie. No, sorry, was it Trixie or Starlight? That was the talented one.
Well, both Trixie and no, talented. It was Starlight, the one that looks at the top of your deck.
Yeah,
That's the one that you think. Yeah, it's Starlight.
yeah,
I
and
wish it was Trixie.
yeah, and Torque Wrench is the other one, the big one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Seems like a really great synergizing card for purple decks that want to play events.
Yeah, and doesn't feel broken for now, at least.
Well, Legacy Leech didn't feel broken at first either, but yeah,
Legacy Leech was like it did feel a little broken.
maybe.
Like
Yeah,
we did it. We gave it 4.
it's true. Looking at this card, there seems to be it has been again probably quite intentionally designed with very clear boundaries on it.
Yeah.
In terms of how much value you can get out of it.
However, if you can find a way to bring this event back into your hand repeatedly for less than 180, or well, for less than 280, you have infinite AT.
True. True. Do keep an eye on that, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Next up. Alrighty.
We're up to problems.
Problems. Now, yes, I remember seeing this one out of the corner of my eye as I was doing it, and seeing that it is a neutral starting problem, which is, those are
Yes.
always tricky ones. Okay. 2 bonus. 8 wild to both. You need -1 wild to confront this problem. Each color among your characters here. So always at least at most 7 to you, if your main character's there.
Mm-hmm.
That you only applies to you. So it is 8 to the opponent always.
Yeah.
Which is good. That's a
It's really good.
nice strong starting problem for slower decks. And likely going to be 6. Just need another color there to get you down to 6. Harder to get more than that, or less than that rather. But that's fine, because again, you're probably playing this in a slow deck that doesn't necessarily want to get rid of this problem anytime soon.
Yeah, 2 oneness is not great.
Yeah, it's true. The era of blackmail is over. Or
Sad.
card designs like it. Well, I mean, go play Adventure, but yeah.
I will. But we do have other good starting problems for control though, like Royal Breakfast.
Mm-hmm. Even
And
I'm totally blanking on it.
do you remember the text?
5 power, 7 power. Search for a
Mystery of Hope Solo.
Apollo. There you go. That one's not bad.
Yeah, like as a control player, seeing like that fat 2 in the corner there. Well, not in the corner, but on the edge there. Kind of makes it weird. So I'm not sure if this card is the right fit for control as a starting problem, at least.
Hmm.
But yeah, I see this card. Like, remember we had a very similar card in Odyssey block,
Right. Was that
which was the opposite of this.
Equalist propaganda? No, that was. It was one of
No,
the.
equals.
It
Yeah,
yeah.
yes,
It was one of the EO cards. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, yeah, and it was like the equalist thing. It wasn't equalist propaganda. That one
No,
is limits your points, but it was something else. Um,
but yeah,
and that one was six
I can
six,
see the
and
card art in my head, but yeah,
yeah, me too. You know what? I will go and find it.
sure. Um, usually, while he's doing that, usually each set only has one neutral starting problem. The way
Cult
things
of
have been going.
personality.
Cultivate. Okay, there we go. Which means this is the one. Yeah, which it's interesting to see leaning on a slower starting problem. Because the core problem set is generally quite well, it's small in terms of number of cards in it, but also small in terms of the problem confront requirements. Um,
Yeah.
and so it's good to have some more bigger ones in there. Again,
Mm-hmm.
the era of blackmail design style is over. Not going to be any more tens or probably even nines.
I want a 10. Please print 10.
I mean, it's
Hands are so good.
there. I mean, there may be a 10, but it's going to have bonus 3. It's not going. They're never going to have.
No, 10 with bonus 0, please. The
Yeah.
bonus -1, that will be even better.
Hmm. There's no mathematical reason why there couldn't ever be a problem with negative bonus, is there? I don't think.
No.
Like, well, this game has operated on the principle that points can never be lost so far for the
Yeah.
whole point of its whole time of its existence. So that would be a pretty big departure. Although, for what it's worth, I know, well, at least a while ago, Pages was thinking and considering potential designs that allow you to spend points to do stuff. Anyway,
Yeah, well,
sorry.
I didn't like. I don't know if like this fundamental assumption of like that you can't lose points should be broken, but maybe as a one-off, like in some weird ultra rare or something,
Hmm.
but not as a everyday thing.
Probably, yeah. Anyway, that was your tangent for the stream. We're
Yeah.
gotta fill that quota. All right, last card. Our blue entry in the blue plus. Oh, look at that 9 on the other side. I was just saying. Okay, in the blue plus not blue kind of style. When you frighten a friend for the first time each turn, you may draw a card, then discard a card. So
Very
yeah,
simple.
yeah. As we've seen with all of these, very blue text in a problem that encourages you to play. Well, I mean, you do have to be
No.
playing.
This one is blue.
I mean, yeah.
You're mixing up with the cards that require not blue plus wild.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, thank you. Have we seen any blue plus not
Uh,
blue? Like,
I think blue plus not wild we have seen before. Yes. Let me grab that.
well, I mean, color plus not color.
Uh, color plus not color. Well, yes, we've seen pink one,
Okay.
which if there's a problem would be replaced and it isn't a dilemma. Blah blah blah. And we've seen the not blue plus wild, which is during face off here you may pay one less AT to play your first card during that face off.
I see. That's implying to me that there are going to be a lot of problems in this set. Like
Yeah, there's a bunch of like there's some wild ones like we've seen before, like the
yeah,
previous one,
if
and there's a full cycle of color plus not color and not color plus wild.
mhm. So that is, yeah, I think that's quite a few more problems than we've seen in sets in the past.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems in this set. Usually, it's in most of the sets, it's usually just like one cycle or maybe two. Oh, I get. Some sets had two, but it's usually just one cycle, like colored cycle, right?
Mhm.
And a couple of colorless ones.
Anyway, I guess, okay. Speaking of the problem itself, uh, very, very slow numbers, 9 and 7, and in particular, blue plus not blue, 7. Small bonus. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, for all that I was talking about, that's kind of slow era being done. 9 wild and 1 bonus. That's a real
That's
good control
good.
ratio. Yeah.
I want to run it in my Tempest deck.
And then frighten a friend. So yep, that's the way blue likes to play control, is to do frighten stuff, and gives you draw. That's blue control is not a thing generally speaking, but Hithroc main wants to do it, I think, and could try to do it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, blue control has been a thing. It's just that wasn't really good.
Hmm.
Uh, and for the last several sets, we've seen like the Frighten support being pushed more and more, and this set is not an exception. We've got the Frighten Tricorn, we've got the main for Frightening, we've got a bunch of cards that interact with Fright. Like, one day there will be a tipping point where Frighten will be good.
You'd expect
Frighten
so.
Control.
Yeah.
Maybe in this set, who knows?
I mean, it's certainly gotten to the point where I'd want to try it, which is usually not something I say about blue stuff.
Yeah, I mean, seeing controlish blue problem is cool because can you name another controlish blue problem?
Uh,
Exactly.
right. Even from like the whole run of Harmony.
From the whole run of Harmony, I can name like one controlish problem. It's not even controlish, I think. There was that one with high bonus, but high rec. Like
Right.
it was 8 for the opponent, but it also had like 2 bonus.
Hmm.
And it was you move your main character there or something like that.
Guilty
But
until
it's not.
proven innocent.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
not even that controlish. But it
Yeah.
was the high rec. Oh, and there was another one that I actually ran in my deck, in my Tempest Blue White, which was you have +2 power during face-offs there. That was also, it was 4 for you and 8 for your opponent, I think.
Right. Yeah. And
But it was 2 bonus, which is meh.
there probably were some from the olden days that were problems that nobody ever ran, that were somewhat control oriented. Um, but anyway, yeah, largely unprecedented territory for the color, at least in terms of its problem deck, which is good.
Yeah.
Give it some support.
You know, if you ask someone from which set a blue card came out, where the rec for your opponent is 5, but for you it's 7, many people would probably guess Premier. But no, it's Defenders.
It's defenders. Yeah.
It's anti-control. You control yourself.
Anyway, stuff. I believe that's all of our all of our
Mm-hmm.
cards this time.
Yep.
And brings us to a nice end point, like these streams always do. I will. Wait a second. Oh, did you ping me? Something?
Yeah. But I was like wrong.
Oh, I
I
see.
thought you didn't include one of the cards in the slides, but then I missed it.
Oh, okay, okay.
I found it.
Anyway, just go get the link here quickly. Right. So yes, thank you everybody for coming out and joining us. We are going to be back on our usual bi-weekly schedule from here on out. In particular, 2 weeks from now will be our first double day where we're doing this in the morning, and then we have the first round of the invitational on that evening.
Mm-hmm.
No
Very
idea
exciting.
yet who we're going to have. We haven't played the games yet. We haven't got to the deck submission deadline yet. Deck submission deadline is next Friday, and then we'll play
Friday? Was it 17th? I thought it was 19th.
our 17th. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 17th.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll play a match or two, or however many can be arranged over the course of that week, and we'll start broadcasting them. And yeah, next week or our next stream, we will talk a little bit about, like, by that point we will know all of the decks that have been submitted. Those
Yeah.
will be publicly posted after the deadline, so we'll be able to give a little preview of the tournament and what has been done for the adventure format and the core format before we get into the tournament itself.
Gonna be very cool. Like
I
last year.
I sure hope so. Yeah. Otherwise, if you want to catch any of our or watch any of our past content, including this stream next Monday or so, you can check us out on YouTube right over there. We've got all the invitational matches from last year as well up there too, as well as all of our past stuff. So there it is. Otherwise, I believe that wraps us up for this week.
Hmm.
I have been Cursor Chords,
And I've been Hithroc.
and we will see you then.
Bye.